Welcome to Smart Gardening. We're in the Smart Pot greenhouse, and today we're going to do the third and final episode of our series on planting bare root plants in containers. Smart Pots are great for bare root plants, mostly because roots are where it's all about. With our aerated container and our oxygenated growing environment, your roots get the best start. So, starting early with a bare root plant, this gives us an opportunity to get things settled in and starting to thrive before the weather is necessarily warm enough to put things outdoors yet. These are really early season things that come out as bare root. We planted up strawberries, we planted a blueberry, and for the third today, we're going to show you how to plant a bare root rose. This is another way that you might see them in stores. We had some that were in little plastic bags, and these are just in a little crate. This is a variety, an old variety of rose, Blaze. It's a red climber, and it's one that my grandma had on her fence. So it's one that's pretty special to me. It's also real disease resistant and super hardy. So you can see that this is a pretty mature plant. That's about 1.5 inch caliper. It's the measurement of how big around this stem is. And the grower has cut all the foliage back early, dipped it in wax. This is to keep it from getting mold and mildew, but it won't affect the growing. It's just something to keep it healthy while it's shipping. So they put it in this container. We're going to take it out, see what it looks like. Here I have a forest green number 20 Smart Pot. This is big enough that this rose will live happily in this container its entire life. When we get it planted up, we're going to put it up against a fence or a wall. Here we'll put it up against our fence probably, because this is a climbing rose. So let's get this out of the container and see what it looks like. One of the questions we get asked quite a lot through our website is about planting roses in Smart Pots. Can you plant roses in Smart Pots? And the answer to that is yes. Roses do very well in Smart Pots. Roses don't need just a whole lot of water. What they do need is really good drainage. And the aerated root control zone here provides a really nice aerated, quickly draining, and evenly moist growing environment. So yes, by all means, put roses in your Smart Pots. You can take them with you if you go somewhere. If not, you've got the perfect growing environment for them to stay right where they are. So we've opened up this container, this bare root rose. I'm a little concerned. You can't really see what you're getting here. There's a big hollow space inside this root crown, but let's take it out and see what's there. You never know till you try. This plant came at about, 1/3 of the cost of what a fully grown, leafed out and with buds and blooms on it rose is going to cost at your nursery or plant store in a month or two. Probably the next, let's say 8 weeks. By May, June, you're going to see some really pretty stuff. But this will look the same way if we get it in here and we've got a healthy start, which all we can do is hope for the best. You see that roses put out these woody roots. These are the big tap roots. And the purpose of these is really just to anchor the plant into the ground. The small roots that you see, these are the roots that we're going to be nurturing to bring up the moisture and the nutrients into the plant and help it live a long and healthy life. So I'm just going to smooth those out just a little bit, see what we've got. They're nice and moist. This was packed really tight in peat moss, pure peat, and that held quite a bit of moisture. It didn't get any rotting going on. And these feel like they are still very much growing in vibrant root system. Doesn't look like a lot, but it's going to fill in. So what we're going to do, we did this with the strawberries, I'll remind you, is we spread out these roots just like this. And the big roots, the anchor roots, I'm going to call them, are now spread out kind of like the fingers of your hand would be. That's going to allow it to dig down into the soil from all directions and access all the moisture and nutrients that we're going to put in with this nice potting soil. So I'm going to take a scoop of soil, and just like we did with our strawberries, I'm going to build up a little mound right in the middle. Press it down just a little bit. I don't want to pack it. And you'll notice that our soil is moist but not wet. And then I'm going to put the crown of that rose right on top of that little mound of soil. That's going to allow all these roots to come in contact with soil right away. Give us a good foundation to support the main stalk, the main branch of the plant that's coming up here, and allow the roots to spread out through the entire growing area. There we go. I was a little concerned about the look of this baby with the hollow here underneath the crown, but it's not mushy. There's no rot going on in there. And there's plenty of these nice fibrous feeder roots. And as I spread these out, I put a little soil on top and just pat it in, making sure there's no real gaps, big air pockets underneath. There we go. And once we got that kind of started, then we'll just put some more soil in. I'm leaving this about 3 inches below the top of this container. That'll give us some room to put a little bit of mulch in. And that will keep water from splashing up on the leaves of our rose. Roses don't like to get water on their leaves. That's when they get black spot, which is a fungus, a mildewy disease that roses suffer from, and it mostly comes from bacteria in the soil that gets splashed up in watering up onto the leaves. It won't, generally speaking, makes your plant not very pretty. Generally speaking, it won't kill it, and it doesn't really affect your flowers much, but it does affect the look of your foliage, so your plant's not going to be as nice looking. Remember, we talked about drainage for roses. So that's one reason we use a nice light potting mixture, a medium that you can buy for container growing. We would never use soil from our yard in a container. It's just not formulated for growing in a smart pot or any other container. So you always want to use a nice high quality growing medium. Container gardening mix. So we've got her down in there. I think it feels nice and stable. We have our top of our roots right here on the top of the soil, right where the soil comes up. We want to be right at that level. So we'll just finish this off, water it in, put a little mulch on top of the soil, and we have our Blaze Climbing Rose in our 20-gallon Forest Green Smart Pot. I think I'm going to turn this down a little bit because I felt like I got enough soil volume in here. So I'm just going to turn it down, save myself a little bit of soil, get a little bit sturdier rim here on the edge of the pot by folding. You'll notice sometimes we do this, sometimes we don't. Really, it's just a matter of personal choice. Some plants with really shallow roots, yeah, you need to fold them. Others like this, it's really kind of whatever suits your fancy while you're doing it. And that's one thing about gardening, is that everybody has their own tricks, and there's always something to learn. So there we go. And now this is going to be ready to put outside really soon. Because everything that's really growing in the plant, or will be growing in the plant right now, is underground. These cool temperatures are great to stimulate our root growth. And then when the weather starts warming up just a little bit more, this is going to start leafing out. You can see some buds coming out on the stem right now. They're kind of pink. And those are the nodes where we're going to get our stems and leaves. And then our bright red flowers. So there we go. Now we've got a rose for generations. Smart pots are so durable and long-lasting. You know, they were made for commercial tree growers in the beginning of our product. And we maintain those commercial standards now. So this rose will live happily in this container outside for its entire life. And by Mother's Day, the third Sunday in May, you may have some flowers on it. So thanks again for joining us. We've really enjoyed exploring bare root planting with you. It's nice to look at ways that you can be a little bit thrifty and economical and start your gardening soon, before maybe it's just peak spring season. You can get a few things done beforehand with bare roots. So we appreciate you. Make sure that you like us, subscribe, send us your questions, your comments, and pictures of your gardening project.